Good evening, everyone. Thank you for watching. Gordon Causey coming live and unscripted. And Candy's here, and I have her treat. So we'll take care of her. I think Candy's more popular than me. I think people tune in just to see my dog. You want your treat? Come here. Come, come here. Come here. Sit. Shake a paw. Lay down. Speak. 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 Good. Come on up. There you go. There's Candy. All right. She got a bit of a sore paw. She was outside and she scraped her paw. It was actually bleeding. And so that was a couple days ago, and she's feeling much better now. Anyway, the jokes. And tell some Jewish jokes. I've mentioned many times in this channel, I spent a number of years growing up in New Jersey, in an area. A lot of my friends growing up were Jewish. Joey Hirschberger, Jenny Silverman lived in behind me. A lot of my teachers. There was a Mr. Schumacher. There was a Mr. Debanovich. It was a great place to grow up, Glen Rock, New Jersey. My Jewish friends, I always felt kind of sorry for them. And I think they were a little jealous of me because they would have to go after school 2 or 3 days a week to Hebrew school, whereas I got to go out and play. And then when I went to university, I went to York, which has a very large contingent of Jewish students. The Jewish Student Federation was very prominent on campus. As a matter of fact, a group called Jews for Jesus came onto campus and were quickly removed because of pressure placed on the institution by the Jewish Student Federation. But all that aside, I mean, I have always found those are the Jewish community, the Jewish people I've known to have an amazing sense of humor. There's a joke that goes around where they gather, Jews will gather maybe for Passover, and they say something to the effect of, they tried to kill us all, they failed, we're still here, now let's eat. Anyway, a few of the ones I heard from Stephanie, who was my next door neighbor in residence at university. What is a good Jewish wine? I want to go to Miami. What is Jewish foreplay? Half an hour of begging. How do you know when a Jewish woman has an orgasm? She loses the place in her book. And what does a Jewish woman say when she has an orgasm? Beige. I think we'll paint the ceiling beige. Now I'll tell a couple standard jokes. Actually, I'll make it in the first person because back when I was living in Glen Rock, I was in grade 2 or 3. My teacher, Mrs. Ysep, held up a $5 bill, and she said, "Whoever can answer this question right, you will get this $5 bill." And $5 was a lot of money. You could feed a family of 5 at McDonald's for $5 and get change back, and that would include dessert. So the question was, name the most famous person who ever lived. And little David Smith raised his hand, and Mrs. Emmett said, "Okay, who's the most famous person who ever lived?" And David said, "That would be George Washington." And she said, "Well, he was a famous American, but he's nowhere near being the most famous person who ever lived in all of history." And then Amy Sullivan raised her hand and said, "Okay, Amy, what's your guess?" And she said, "Thomas Edison." And again, the teacher, she said, "Well, that's good. Thomas Edison was a great inventor, but he's not the most famous person who ever lived." Then my buddy, Joey Hirschberger, who was sitting next to me, he raised his hand. Teacher asked him, he stood up and he said, "The most famous person who ever lived was Jesus." And the teacher said, "Excellent, very good, Joey, come." Gave him the $5 bill. He sat back down. I looked over him and I said, "Joey, you're Jewish, really? You really think Jesus was the most famous person who ever lived?" And Joey looked at me and he said, "Look, I know it's Moses, but business is business. Anyway, and the last one, and this may be my favorite. Old Mr. Cohen is walking through Central Park in New York, and he's very upset. He's muttering to himself, and his friend, Mr. Rabinovich, sees him, and Mr. Rabinovich walks up and says, Mr. Cohen, what's the matter? You look upset. And old Mr. Cohen says, Oi, my boy, Lenny. Lenny left home a Jew. That was a year ago. Now he's come home. He's become a Christian. What did I do wrong? And Mr. Rabinovich says, Oi, funny you should mention that. My boy, Yosef left home a Jew. He came back a Christian. I too have gone wrong. So now the two of them are walking through Central Park, and they're both muttering to themselves. And Mr. Zadelman sees them, and he walks over and says, Mr. Cohen, Mr. Rabinovich, you look upset. What's the problem? They say, our boys, Lenny and Yosef, they left home Jews. When they came home, they'd become Christians. What did we do wrong? And Mr. Zadelman says, Oi, funny you should mention that. My boy. Yeshua left home a Jew. He came back a Christian. I too have gone wrong. But the thing that we must do, we should go to the synagogue. We should go talk to the rabbi, the old Rebbe. He will tell us where we went wrong. So the three of them all head off to the synagogue. They meet the old Rebbe and they say, Rebbe, all our boys, Lenny, Yeshua, Yosef, all three of them left home Jews. They came back Christians. Where did we go wrong? What did we do? And the old Rebbe, he says, Oi, funny you should mention that. My boy, Yossel, the rabbi's son, he left home a Jew. He came back a Christian. I too have gone wrong. But what does it say in the Torah? What does the Torah say? Always look to God. So they lift their hands, they raise their heads, and they let their voices rise to the rafters, and they say, God, why? Hashem, why? All our boys, Lenny, Yeshua, Yosef, Yossel, they all left home Jews, came back Christians. Where did we go wrong? All of a sudden, there is an earthquake. The ground shakes. The roof of the synagogue is ripped open. They look up into the sky, and the heavens part. And they see God's hand descending from the heavens. And God speaks to them, and God says, Oi, funny you should mention that. Those are my jokes. I'll keep it under 10 minutes. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed them. I love comments. I try to respond to all. I don't get to near all of them. Johnny Appleseed calls them dad jokes. Fair enough. I am a dad. At any rate, if you want to subscribe to my channel, you're welcome to. This miserable, pathetic little channel with no production values. I'm getting up towards 600. Be nice to go over. And my next, I'll be doing another video tomorrow night, talking about something a little more serious, and people will be welcome to join in on the live chat for interaction, which I really enjoy. But I'm going to be talking about the flags, the Trudeau flags. We all know the one with the F and then a maple leaf, and you know the rest, Trudeau. I'm going to be talking about that and about what we can do possibly to make sure. We all know that Justin Trudeau and his Liberal Party is toast in the next election, but what we can do to make it the worst possible defeat possible. To make it as bad as possible for Justin Trudeau and his Liberal minions. So thank you for watching. Thank you for the thumbs up that I've already gotten, and hope some of you will come on tomorrow, be around between 10 and 10:30, in and around that time on Sunday evening. All right, we'll talk to you later. God bless.